Hello, I'm Josh Gardner, Technical Services and Training Manager. In this video, we're going to go over the combustion setup on a natural gas boiler. This will apply to the 110, 155, and 199 models. The equipment needed to set the combustion on the boiler are the flathead precision screwdriver, a T40 torque screwdriver, a calibrated combustion analyzer, and the installation manual with the combustion settings. If the boiler is going to be installed at a higher elevation, you're going to want to adjust the altitude setting before performing the combustion analysis. To do this, press and hold the up and down arrow buttons for 3 to 5 seconds. Enter in the installer access code, which is 054 on all our boilers. Go to your CH and DHW settings. Go down to your boiler settings. Go all the way down to your altitude, and then set it for the closest number that meets your location. Press the center circle button to save it. And then from here, we can go back to our home screen and we can perform our combustion analysis. First, we're going to ensure that we have power onto the unit and the boiler's turned on, and we have our gas supply turned on. Then we're going to set up our combustion analyzer. Now this combustion analyzer has a built-in manometer. So if you don't have that option, you're going to need a manometer to check your gas pressure. On propane, we require 8 to 13 inches of water column, and on natural gas, we require 5 to 13 inches operating pressure. First, I'll install the manometer portion. On the bottom of the gas valve on the right-hand side is our inlet test pressure port. The one on the left is the offset. We do not use this during the setup. Just the right-hand side, which is our inlet test pressure. Loosen it up about a half turn to a turn and place your manometer hose over the port. You're going to want to make sure that all your heating zones are running. That way we can dissipate the heat as fast as possible. Then you're going to hold the up and down arrow buttons for 3 to 5 seconds. Go into the installer access mode. The code for it is 054. It's the same code in all our boilers. Then from here, go over to the manual operation, and we'll highlight the fan. Above the slide bar, it will say released, which means control is released to the boiler. Click the center circle button, and it will change to level 1%. 1% is low fire, 100% is high fire. From here, once the boiler fires, we're going to bring it all the way up to 100%, which is high fire. Now that we're in high fire, we're going to take a few seconds and allow the combustion analyzer to settle out. While we do that, we're going to be watching our gas pressure on our analyzer. We don't want to see more than a 1-inch drop from static to high fire. If you do have that 1-inch drop, more than a 1-inch drop, then you want to check your gas piping or your regulator. It could be undersized. So now that the combustion settings on high fire have stabilized, we're going to refer to the installation instructions for our readings. So this boiler is a 199. The O2 target is 3.95. Our CO2 target is 9.5. And our CO needs to be below 150 parts per million. So looking at my settings right now, my O2 is 5.1 and my CO2 is 8.9. So I'm running a little bit lean. So I need to make an adjustment on the high fire or the throttle screw to decrease my O2 and increase my CO2. So this throttle screw, if we turn it counterclockwise, it's going to open it. So it's going to decrease our O2 and increase our CO2. If I were to go clockwise, it would do the opposite. It would increase my O2 and decrease my CO2. So we'll open this up by turning it counterclockwise. We'll give it a few turns. The throttle screw is not super sensitive, so it might take a turn or two just to see an adjustment. As we wait, we'll go over some of the other settings. So our target on our O2 is 3.95, but our range of acceptable combustion level on this unit is 2.15 to 4.85. On the CO2, our target is 9.5, but our acceptable combustion level parameter needs to be between 9 and 10.5. So my O2 is at 4.4, my CO2 is at 9.3. So I'm still running a little bit lean. We're going to increase the gas a little bit more and go counterclockwise a couple more turns. Okay, now that I've adjusted the high fire, my O2 is at 4.0, my CO2 is 9.6, and my CO is at 109. That is pretty much as close as I'm going to get it. We're well within spec, and we're as close as we can get it to the targets, so I am very happy with this. So from here, we're not going to touch the throttle screw anymore. We're going to go ahead and hit the left arrow button and bring it down to 1% low fire. And we're going to set up our low fire adjustment. So we'll give that a few seconds to stabilize. And we should see our CO levels drop, and our O2 and CO2 should be pretty close to what our high levels or high output were. So now we're on low fire 1%. If we look at our combustion levels, my O2 is 6%, my CO2 is 8.4, and my CO is at 0. So these numbers should match what our high fire numbers, excluding the CO. So my O2 target should be 3.95, and my CO2 should be 9.5. So what we are going to have to do to add more fuel, because we're running lean, is remove our T40 Torx cap. And we're going to adjust this T40 Torx screw for the offset regulator. Now, this is the opposite of our throttle. So clockwise will increase our gas. It will decrease our O2 and increase our CO2 and increase our CO. If we go counterclockwise, it will increase our O2 and decrease our CO2. So we're running lean. We're going to go ahead and turn this slightly clockwise and slowly. And we should see a pretty quick adjustment in our readings. All right, so we're holding at 5.2. We'll turn it some more. And you just want to go slow and steady with this. That way you don't cause any damage to the offset regulator. Okay, so it looks like we're pretty much dialed in. I got a 3.8 on my O2. My CO2 is 9.7, and my CO is at 0. So my O2 and my CO2 should match the high fire rate levels, which we're pretty much on point with that. So from here, with the combustion setup, we're all done. We can go ahead and install the Torx cap. This doesn't need to be super tight. You can just put it down snug. You can go ahead and remove your manometer test port hose and close up the test port screw. Then you can go to your control, and if you press the center circle button, you'll see the slide bar change back to released, meaning the released control is released back to the boiler. And we can return back to the home screen. And then lastly, we can remove our combustion analyzer probe and reinstall our test cap.